You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. In the history of American justice, only a few cases if any have captured the public's attention like that against R. Kelly. As a towering figure in the music industry, his trial was as much a case study as it was a legal proceeding. But beneath the headlines and courtroom drama lies a critical question, and that is whether R. Kelly was judged fairly, or whether his fate was casually decided by jurors who were unqualified to evaluate the complex evidence and allegations against him. The Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees every defendant the right to a fair trial. And the journey towards a fair trial always begins with the selection of an impartial jury made of ordinary citizens who are tasked with weighing evidence, evaluating testimony, and making decisions free from bias or prejudice. Yet when we look at R. Kelly's trial, cracks begin to appear in the very foundation of this jury selection process. In a criminal trial, the jury plays a critical role. These individuals must be impartial and capable of understanding the evidence presented, and they should also be able to separate facts from emotions. For high-profile cases, these qualifications become even more essential, as jurors are exposed to media narratives long before they enter the courtroom. In R. Kelly's case, however, serious questions arise about whether the jurors selected were up to this challenge. R. Kelly's trial wasn't just another court case. It was a complex labyrinth of allegations spanning decades, legal arguments involving the controversial use of RICO charges, and emotionally charged testimony from multiple accusers. These jurors were asked to analyze complex evidence, to understand intricate legal concepts, and to evaluate the credibility of witnesses whose stories were often conflicting or uncorroborated. These were not simple matters to untangle, and the jurors needed to be steadfast if they were going to achieve half tasks that lay ahead of them. From the start, R. Kelly's case was overshadowed by a media circus. Documentaries, interviews, and endless headlines painted a picture of guilt long before the first piece of evidence was even presented in court. Jurors in his trial were drawn from the same pool of citizens who had been contaminated with these narratives. Were they truly capable of setting aside these preconceptions, or did they walk into the courtroom with their minds already made up that R. Kelly was guilty? Studies have shown that pretrial publicity can significantly impact jurors' ability to remain impartial. In high-profile cases, jurors often struggle to separate what they've heard in the media from what they hear in court. R. Kelly's trial was no exception. Despite the court's instructions to ignore external influences, how realistic was it to expect jurors to completely disregard years of relentless media coverage? One of the most controversial aspects of R. Kelly's trial was the application of RICO charges, a law originally designed to dismantle organized crime networks. Prosecutors argued that Kelly operated a criminal enterprise to recruit and exploit women and girls. But RICO cases are notoriously complex, often requiring jurors to understand legal theories far beyond the scope of everyday life. Imagine sitting in the jury box tasked with interpreting a law designed to combat the mafia but now being applied to an entertainer. How many jurors truly grasped the nuances of this law? And how many were overwhelmed by the legal jargon and relied instead on emotion or gut instinct rather than evidence? During jury selection, attorneys for both sides question potential jurors to ensure they are fair and impartial. But in R. Kelly's trial, this exercise was not effectively done. Several jurors admitted to prior knowledge of the case, and others expressed doubts about their ability to remain unbiased, but these were still selected anyway. When individuals with preconceived notions sit on the jury team, how can we call the process impartial?
The judge, and she said, initially I thought I could be a fair and impartial juror, but after reading something about the case over the weekend, I cannot.
After the trial, some jurors in fact revealed troubling insights. One stated they felt pressured to deliver a verdict due to the media attention surrounding the case. Another admitted to struggling with the complexity of the evidence. If even a single juror lacks confidence in their understanding, it undermines the integrity of the entire trial. The testimonies of R. Kelly's accusers might have sounded powerful, but emotional weight should never outweigh factual accuracy in a courtroom. Jurors were tasked with evaluating these testimonies, but without the proper pre-qualification to assess credibility, there is no way they could have been well equipped to separate truth from exaggeration or inconsistencies. Many of the testimonies presented during the trial were actually inconsistent, raising serious questions about the reliability of jurors who acknowledged them. Jurors that were not properly pre-qualified may have been swayed by emotion rather than logic. It's clear they did not give these testimonies the critical scrutiny they deserved, likely because they were overwhelmed by the emotional nature of the allegations. Meanwhile, R. Kelly's trial is not the first high-profile case where jury qualifications and impartiality have come under scrutiny. From the O.J. Simpson trial to the cases of high-profile politicians, history shows us that biased or wrongly pre-qualified juries can lead to questionable verdicts. Appeals courts often overturn convictions in such cases, citing juror misconduct or the inability to fairly assess the evidence. And this is why we fail to understand why this is taking longer than usual for R. Kelly's case. The justice system is built on the idea that a defendant is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But when jurors are influenced by media bias, can we still trust the verdict? R. Kelly's trial raises serious questions about whether the judicial system worked as intended or if it failed him entirely. Justice is not about public opinion or media narratives, it's about facts, fairness and the law. The question remains: was R. Kelly judged to the book based on the evidence or by the biases of unqualified jurors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Another issue lies in how the defense and prosecution presented their cases. The defense argued that several accusers' testimonies were inconsistent or motivated by external factors such as media pressure or financial incentives. But if jurors weren't properly selected to make sure they had the ability to critically evaluate such claims or question the reliability of witnesses, how could they render an informed decision? History has shown us that jury bias is not a new phenomenon. In fact, high-profile defendants often face juries that are swayed by public opinion rather than courtroom evidence, and this is a big problem. From celebrities to political figures, countless cases have been overturned on appeal due to juror misconduct or bias, and R. Kelly's case is yet another example. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say. To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.